this meeting of the salary board. Have a roll call.
Commissioner Eichelberger?
Present.
Commissioner Fauci?
Present.
Commissioner DiFilippo?
Present.
Ms. Fuller Whitcomb?
Here. Okay. Any public comment at this point for the salary board? Seeing none, we'll move along to item 4, approval of the salary board actions.
I'll make a motion to approve the salary board actions.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Carries. Item 5, approval of the minutes of January 6th of this year.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of January 6th.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Any other business to come before the salary board? Hearing none, we'll adjourn the meeting of the salary board, and we will convene the meeting of the board of commissioners. Stand. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have a roll call. Members present, please.
Commissioner Eichelberger?
Present.
Commissioner Fauci?
Present.
Commissioner DiFilippo?
Present.
Very good, thank you. At this point, we have opportunity for public comment to the board of commissioners. Anyone have comment? Anyone from the rest of the board? No? All right, okay. We have the minutes in hand for the January 6th meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes? Move to approve.
I'll second.
And seconded, all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we have approval of personnel transactions. We have a motion.
I'll move.
No, I didn't. I made the motion, I'll second
Okay, we will second it, all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
it. Aye.
Aye.
There's somewhat of an informal practice of doing every other time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, no, nobody told you.
I
So,
don't want to jump
but
on.
it's not carved in stone,
Yeah,
so
all right.
feel free. You'll learn all kinds of little things. Okay, item number 6, discussion and approval of the resettlement letter for the Church World Service. Anyone addressing this, or I think we all should remember the draft?
Yeah.
At our
Well, we were supposed to have had someone here from Church World Service to do a presentation.
I am with Church World Service, but we were supposed to do both. I'm the second person, she's the first, but I can still say some comments.
Whatever you like.
Okay. My name is Omar Mohammed, and I have been a Cumberland County resident since 2015. So I'm accepting the statement of Church World Service. And as you may know, there's a large immigrant community in Cumberland County. And they have been a resident of this county for a long time. And now you are asked to get, every county has to prove if the refugees, in continuation of coming refugees to their county. And when we talk about refugees, there's one thing that people need to be reminded is, those are people that are coming illegally. They have been doing the go process, and they have been approved by the Department of Homeland Security to come to the U.S. For myself, I came to the U.S. in 2009. I grew up in a refugee camp in Kenya, and I lived that refugee camp for over 16 years. So for any refugee who is coming legally to this country, have been to a second country as a refugee. So the United Nations have all their information if anyone are interested. For in my case, I left Somalia when I was only 4 years old. So if the US government now wants to get intelligent information about myself from Somalia, Somali government will have zero information from me, because I left when I was 2, because of the civil war. Guess who has my information? The United Nations and the US government has more information about myself than the Somali government. Why? All this time I lived in the refugee camp. I was held by UNHCR, which is United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. And it took me 7 years. I've been living in the refugee camp. Once I was considered to be resettled to USA. Me and my younger brother, who has intellectual disability, when we were considered, the interview process took 7 years. You have to be interviewed, the interview is screened, medical checkup, then you meet with the USCIS officer. Then that officer has the final say. That officer also represents the US government, does not represent the United Nations. So the US has the final say of who comes to the US or who does not come. All these non-profit organizations have zero say. All their cases to present to the US government, the cases that they have identified as their vulnerable. Also, it's not something we choose. For example, for me, when I was considered to be resettled to the US, I didn't choose to come to Pennsylvania. I didn't choose to go to another state. It's those agencies, or with the help of the Department of Homeland Security, decides where you go. And also, no one chooses to be a refugee. In my case, every human being, including yourselves, is the last thing you want is to be a refugee, at anyhow. Me, I was born by a middle-class family, what's called a middle-class family. I needed nothing from nobody. I don't want to leave my country. I don't want nothing. But when my family became the victim of the civil war that broke in Somalia, the situation made us to flee from our country. Also fleeing, when you are fleeing, it's not something that you organize. Tell your kids we are going tomorrow, we are going to, no. It's something that happens unexpectedly. So when you flee from your country, or in my case, my mother was in the market, my father in the farm. Everyone has to flee from where you are. God forbid, you are all here today, and there's crisis in here. No one is going to say, let me go find my wife, let me go find my husband, let me go find my kids. No, there's gunshots everywhere. So everyone ran from where he or she is. The second thing that we, after that struggle, imagine you have to share what you have been through all these interviews. This stranger that you have never met. Your father being killed in front of you, your sister being raped in front of you. You have to share this story again, and again, and again with this stranger that you don't know if he is going, or he is going to decline your case or is going to approve your case. Finally, when you come to the US, you'll be assisted by those resettlement agencies that welcome refugees when they come here and transition. Specifically in Cumberland County, what do we bring as refugees who come here? As we know, there's a lot of warehouses that employ those immigrants. And if you can find your own statistics from those warehouses, specifically in Carolina area, 99% of those immigrants work for those warehouses. So they produce us also to the income. I pay tax. My kids go to the same school as your kids. And the worst of all, if Cumberland County does not allow in continuation of resettlement is, for me, I didn't see my mom for 14 years. I'm trying to petition for her to reunite with me here in the US. But guess what? She won't be able to do that if Cumberland County says you cannot, we don't allow refugees to continue. So I asked, and there's a lot of immigrants in Cumberland County that are now, I'm a US citizen since 2014. And there's also many of them who are also getting in that pipeline, although we are always called refugees or we look different or we have a strong accent. That is also unnecessary, but it's something that always we have to deal with. So I asked the commissioners to consider all this, the income we bring in, the family reunification that we need, and also the struggle. Those are people that didn't choose to be a refugee, but the circumstances made them to be a refugee. Now Sheila is here, was supposed to do the first talk, but if she wants to continue, that's fine.
Yeah, hi, I'd like to. Sheila, Master PhD, Director of CWS, the Resettlement Office in Lancaster. As a federally funded program, we can resettle refugees within 100 miles of our office. There happen to be 2 other resettlement agencies in central PA. One is Catholic Charities, represented by me, and the other is Bethany Christian Services, also in Lancaster. So there are 3 resettlement agencies funded by the Department of State, Bureau of Population, Refugees, and Migration in this area that might be resettling here. Refugee resettlement federal program is a public-private partnership. The federal government 40 years ago set up the modern refugee resettlement program. They give us money to provide the social services, the integration services. But the refugees we are reselling have been approved and very thoroughly vetted by the Department of Homeland Security. And a refugee is, I'm sorry if I'm saying things you already know, but just I'll be brief. A refugee is someone who has been persecuted because of race, religion, ethnicity, membership in a particular social group, or political opinion. You have to prove that you've been persecuted, that you can't live in your country anymore because of that persecution. And that is decided again by the Department of, an interview with the Department of, many interviews actually, Department of Homeland Security overseas. So once the refugees are approved with refugee status, they're very thoroughly vetted, more so than anyone else entering the United States, any other foreigner. I brought a sheet along with the 13 steps that they go through, including an FBI, CIA, national terrorist, so on and so on. There's 13 different steps as well as medical. How many refugees come in? So a couple of years ago, there were 100,000 coming in. In 2017, when the new administration came into office, it was cut to 55,000. Next year it was cut to 40,000. This year it's been cut to 18,000. So the number's going down and down and down. And in fact, what we are asking of the commissioners is nothing more than to keep the status quo. So very fewer refugees are coming in. And we're just saying, we're not doing anything different. This is the same program that's been going on for 40 years. If you haven't noticed it before, you're not going to notice it now. If you have noticed the large population of Somalis in Mechanicsburg, that's probably not going to increase by more than tops 50 people, but probably not even that much. And we're asking you because the President's Executive Order 13888, September 26th, is giving permission to municipalities, is how they worded it, to say whether or not they consent to continue resettling refugees in their areas. So giving your consent is agreeing to the status quo. It's nothing new. Nothing's going to change. We first had to get approval from Governor Wolf, which he did give almost right away. He was one of the first ones to give us, first of the states to give us approval. And he even mentioned CWS and our Finding Resettlement Services in his letter. We thought initially municipalities wasn't well defined. So initially we started going to each borough, town, city. So we have about 10 of those. Already one of them is Upper Allen Township, where the Somali population lives. And they've already given us our consent, their consent. So that is our ask, that we are just complying with the EO when you talk to us, and so we're passing it on to you. And of course, we're here for any questions, anything I didn't cover, we'd be happy to answer that. And if we could have your next step on this, maybe before we leave today, what you'll be doing next, and we will these things.
Other comments? What is the disposition of the draft? We received something to look at, is that the form?
Yeah, it's
We have a draft letter.
Paper backups here for you guys.
Here, sir.
It's the same thing that I've seen. So.
Okay.
All right, so we do have the letter, and everybody's had a chance to look at it. And I'll just note before a call for action on it that I really appreciate you gentlemen being here today and you sharing your story with us. Very, very helpful. I think it's very important that in the current political climate that we get facts because there's a lot of confusion between issues in some of the public issues of the day. So it's very helpful for you to share that with us in a general sense, but also your unique story in an individual sense. So I want to express my appreciation for that. And I'll just note that Cumberland County has a very rich history in terms of its acceptance with refugees. In fact, the home that I'm living in now, I bought it from a family that was a host family for a young man who fled Vietnam, South Vietnam, after the communists took over, and he has built a very successful life here. And I think that's truly what our country is about. I will say I understand the administration's interest in seeking local opinion because there are significant impacts to the communities, but in schools where there's a sudden influx. And in Mechanicsburg, we certainly experienced that with a huge building program going on in our school. But we're also a prosperous community. We can afford to absorb that, and other communities may not be able to. So I certainly understand their appreciation of their ability to have a say in what's happening here. So, but I think most folks in Cumberland County who understand, when they understand the facts, are in agreement that this is a very good thing. So, having said that, I'll open the floor to any other comments, or we can entertain a motion.
I would put a motion out, and I would move that we approve the resettlement letter for Church World Service, which has set forth before us.
Second motion.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion carries.
When do you,
Could I just comment that you can send a letter to us, but it actually is made out to Department of State.
yes, and you need it though, if I'm remembering, by January 24th.
That's later.
Is that something that she'd like to take with her today? Could we sign it? She can take it today.
We have to produce it. If we can do that, I have no problem signing it.
It's ready.
Are you available to wait around for a while? till you have it done?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. I think our meetings have been fairly brief, so
Yeah.
we'll proceed through.
Okay.
Okay.
So, okay,
Thank you.
very well, thank you. Okay. We'll move along to item 7, approval of the resolution 2020-1 on the budget adjustments.
Motion to approve the resolution.
I will second that motion.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, item 8, we have the contracts and grants that were placed before us in the workshop, due January 9, and listed accordingly in your agenda. It's comprehensive, it's all inclusive, so I'll entertain a motion.
I would move to approve the contracts and grants as set forth in Article 8, Section I. Or we want to do all of
You
them?
can do
Okay.
it, don't have to.
So numeral 8, Section 1 and 2, sorry.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, moved and seconded for the approval of contracts, all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item 9 is the, any discussion, and of course, the potential authorization of our advertising bids for the Cumberland Bridge replacement.
I'm handling this for Mr. Stoner. This is a project that's being bid through the ECMS system of the state. You're familiar with it's electronic, engineering and construction management system. And we typically ask your approval to do an advertisement be required by the county code in addition to what the state already does. So if you wouldn't mind, Commissioners, I ask for a motion to approve or authorize advertising for bids for the Cumberland Bridge replacement project.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the authorization advertising for bids for Cumberland Bridge replacement.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the motion. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Solicitor. Okay, item 10 is we have an appointment required that we unfortunately missed at the end of the year for Capital Area Transit, and you know, we have a business going on there currently, so we need this appointment. Mr. Beanstock has served on that board for 2 years now, I believe. It's served admirably, so
Before I move, I just want to comment, so that number 10 should say reappointment.
It should, yes.
All right, so I'll move for the approval of the reappointments of Albion Stock to the Capital Area Transit Board for a term of 5 years.
Second. Usually second the motions.
Okay, moving second, all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 11, approval of $1,000 donation from Big Spring Area Community Chest to the Cumberland Area Drug and Alcohol Commission. We reviewed that. Is there any further questions, further information presented to the board on that? See no one here for that purpose. So I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the $1,000 donation from the Big Spring Area Community
And
Chest
I'll second.
to the Cumberland Area Drug and Alcohol Commission. Sorry, it's okay.
I'm seconding that motion.
Okay, it is moved and seconded. All in favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Okay, item 12, the approval of the $7,500 donation from the Cumberland County Bar Association to the county's opioid intervention courts. And I will present anything additional. We reviewed it at the workshop. Do we hear a motion for approval?
I will move to approve the $7,500 donation.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 13, motion to award the bid for janitorial services for the Cumberland County buildings as outlined in the workshop. The new, I'm going to stop calling it the new courthouse. It's not new. It's the main courthouse building and East Wing, the Sumerian building, and the Domestic Relations Office. For 2 years, that's going to Interstate Building Maintenance Corporation. Out of the contract, $261,220.92 as presented to us at the workshop. Do I have a motion for approval of that bid?
I will make a motion to award the bid as is presented.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. Item 14, we have our annual appointments to the Planning Commission. Well promised, the Planning Commission went through its vetting process and has delivered 2 names to us. Actually 3 names, one for reappointed Jim Ross and 2 new names. We have George Tyson and Joseph Zume. Their resumes were provided. This would be for a 4-year term. We have retroactive to January 1 of this year, expiring December 31, 2024. Do I hear a motion?
It's 2023.
I'm sorry.
I think it should be probably 2023.
You're correct. Yes.
Well, I will approve the appointment of George Tyson and Joseph Zume and the reappointment of Jim Ross to the Cumberland County Planning Commission for 4-year terms, retroactive to January 1, 2020, and expiring on December 31, 2023.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Fine job done by the Planning Commission. Okay, item 15, approval of supplement D, scope of work and price proposal for the Kunkel Bridge. This also was reviewed at the workshop. Do we have further information on it? Seeing none, I'll call the motion. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve supplement D, scope of work and price proposal for Cumberland.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 16, approval of the annual CMRC, that's Claremont Nursing Rehabilitation Center. The policy and bylaws that were reviewed in January 9th workshop includes the admissions statement policy for the facility, the statement of equal opportunity employment, equal employment opportunity policy, and the notice of non-discrimination, as well as the governing body bylaws. Do I hear a motion for approval of this?
I'll move to approve the annual CMRC policies and bylaws as presented.
Wait a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries, thank you. Okay, item 17, we have approvals for Harrisburg Area Transportation Study, and here's what's been put together. It was briefed, we were briefed on this in the workshop. The reappointment of our director, Planning Director Kirk Stoner, and Mr. Dan Flint from Lower Allen Township to the technical committee of HATS. Would involve appointments of myself, Commissioner Michael Carey Edward, and Mr. Toby Faber for the coordinating committee. And further would approve the appointment of Commissioner Chief Fashi, as well as Mr. Stoner, again, as alternates to the coordinating committee. And that is, I believe, for a one-year period, it's not specified here. We get that clarified later. I don't know if it's a 1 year or 4 year.
Just for the applicable term.
Applicable term. Okay. Very good. So do we have a motion to make those appointments? Is good.
Yeah, I will make a motion to make those reappointments as stated and for the period of time be their applicable term.
I'll second.
Move to second. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, item 18, we have general disbursements. We need the authorization for items A through O to this in total. So do we have a motion to pay those?
I will move for the approval of the general disbursements transfer authorizations as set forth in item 18, A through O.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 19, I want to report on executive session held by the board on January 8th at 9:30 a.m. as regards to personnel issues. Also, we have received the monthly reports of the clerk of court, thonotary, court of deeds, and register of wills, as well as the change in assessment update for the month of December. That requires no action. All right, is there any other business to come before?
I want to let Commissioners, I apologize, it should be under item B, the other contracts. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the security agreement subject to the solicitor's approval.
I'll make that motion.
I will second that motion.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Yeah, very good. Again, any other business? As noted, our next commissioner's workshop is Thursday, January 23rd at 9 a.m. And the next meeting of the board of commissioners, formal meeting, is Monday, January 27th at 2 p.m. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned.